Hello and welcome back to Euro Football Daily, where today, a year on from profiling our best up-and-coming managers of 2021, which included the likes of Arteta, Potter and Amorim, we are doing the same for the 21-22 campaign. Let's get started. 10. Bruno Lage. Despite a disappointing end to 2021, which saw Wolves lose 4 of their final 6 games to finish 13th, with 14 fewer points than the season prior, the Molineux faithful knew that whoever replaced the outgoing Nuno Espirito Santo would face a huge task. When owners Fosun plumped for Jorge Mendes' client Bruno Lage, who had been out of work for a year after being sacked by Benfica, everyone was intrigued as to how it would go. And not even the most optimistic Wolves fan could have foreseen what was to come, as with 9 games to go, Wolves sit 7th, just 4 points behind 5th place Man United. On a run of 8 wins from their last 13 games at the time of writing, which included victories over United, Leicester and Spurs, built off the back of a defence that has conceded just 23 league goals, the 8th best record in Europe, Lage has surpassed all expectations. If he can improve on their measly average of 1 goal per game, the same record as Watford next term, we wouldn't be surprised if he begun to enter the conversation for top European clubs before too long. 9. Thomas Letsch. From a manager everyone will have heard of to one that almost none of you would have, German coach Thomas Letsch has emerged as one of the Eridivisie's most exciting talents. After years of working as an assistant in his country's lower leagues, Letsch was picked up by RB Salzburg in 2012, and over the next few years rose from their under-16 side to the first team, eventually taking over for a caretaker spell in 2015. He finally got his chance at Salzburg's feeder club FC Liefering, managing the likes of Hwang Hee-chan and Samaseku, and impressed Vitesse, who hired him in May 2020. 2020-21 saw his team, spearheaded by Chelsea loanee Armando Broja, finish 4th, their joint best placing this century, earning themselves a spot in the UEFA Conference League. It's here that Letsch has really shone, getting through a challenging group containing Rennes and Spurs, a club that has a net spend of €260 million since the start of 2019-20, compared to Vitesse's €4.3 million profit in the same period. A valiant 1-0 defeat to Roma in the first leg of the last 16 suggests this could be the end of the road. But Letsch deserves enormous praise for turning a team with the youngest average age in the Eredivisie into one capable of challenging teams with Champions League ambitions. Whatever you do, remember the name. 8. Wayne Rooney. Speaking of remembering the name, Wayne Rooney has taken to life as a manager, much like he did to life as a player, seamlessly. 11 games into the 2020-21 campaign, Derby player Rooney was thrust into the spotlight after the firing of Philip Cocu. By the time he took sole charge, the Rams were 24th, 6 points from safety after 4 consecutive defeats. With his only managerial experience coming during Soccer Aid, Rooney was certainly in at the deep end, but just 5 defeats in their next 19 games meant that even a late season collapse couldn't cost them their championship status as they survived on the final day. By then, Derby's long talked about financial issues were becoming alarmingly clear. Former owner Mel Morris had tried to sell the club only for a deal to fall through. They were found to have breached financial fair play regulations, were hit by a transfer ban and started the season with just 9 professionals on their books. Although the transfer embargo was eventually lifted in September 2021, the club was placed into administration and eventually deducted a total of 21 points. To be 23rd and just 5 points from safety at the time of writing is a remarkable achievement given the circumstances. With 8 sides having lost more games, Derby know that even if they go down, it won't be Rooney's fault. 7. Patrick Vieira. Taking over from Roy Hodgson is never easy. Fulham were relegated 4 years after his departure, and he had the best win percentage of any West Brom manager to work exclusively in the Premier League this century, meaning that after 4 seasons at Crystal Palace, people feared the worst for his successor. And when the Eagles tried and failed to land Lampard and Nuno before plumping for Arsenal legend Vieira, who was incredibly unpopular by the end of his spell at Nice, many predicted a season of struggle. But backed by a brilliant summer of recruitment, Palace have surprised us all. Currently on track for 45 points, their best since 18-19, and with an FA Cup quarter-final against Everton to come, this could yet turn into a truly memorable season. But it's arguably their change in style that has been most impressive, with their share of possession jumping from 18th in the Premier League to 8th, and their passes per defensive action, which measures the intensity of their pressing, also going from 18th to 8th. With their average age dropping from 28.8, the oldest in the division in 2021, to 26.9, Palace have a squad and a manager going places. 6. Carlos Corberán. Going into this season, Huddersfield fans were right to expect the worst. In the 2 seasons since their embarrassing relegation from the Premier League that had seen them win 3 games and collect 16 points, the 3rd lowest total in the league's history, they had finished 18th and 20th, surviving by 3 and 6 points respectively. They decided to stick by manager Carlos Corberán, who had been in charge for 2021 and failed to silence the doubters who questioned whether the Spanish manager had the right credentials given his only prior experience had been in Cyprus. A 5-1 defeat at home to Fulham in match week 2 suggested he'd do well to last the season, but the Terriers have been on a remarkable unbeaten run stretching 17 games to the end of November. One of just 2 unbeaten sides in England's top 4 divisions in 2022, along with Liverpool, Corberán's side now sit 3rd at the time of writing, just 2 points behind Bournemouth, albeit having played 3 games more. With a match coming up against the Cherries at the John Smiths next weekend, Corberán has an enormous opportunity to stake a claim for automatic promotion. 5. Domenico Tedesco. Having coached since he was just 23, Domenico Tedesco is now 5 years into his managerial career at 36, and so far he has impressed. After years working in the youth setups of Stuttgart and Hoffenheim, he was hired by German second-tier outfit Erzgebirge Aue in 2017, with just 2 months of the season remaining and the club rock bottom of the table. He steered them to safety, winning 4 of his first 5 matches with a side that had won just once in 5 months prior to his arrival, and his heroics in Saxony earned him the Schalke job. In his 1 full season, he guided Die Königsblauen to a 2nd place finish, their highest in 8 years, before leading Spartak Moscow to Champions League qualification for the first time in 3 campaigns in 2021. And he has once again had a transformative effect since being hired by RB Leipzig midway through this season. Once compared to Julian Nagelsmann, Tedesco has proved the antidote to Jesse Marsch's failed succession of the Bayern Munich coach, mixing up the possession football of Nagelsmann and the classic Red Bull gegenpressing of Marsch to devastating effect. He won 8 of his first 12 games, sustaining the joint best record in the Bully with leaders Bayern Munich. Carry on like this, and Tedesco could build a genuine title-challenging side. 4. Ivan Jurić. Likened to Jurgen Klopp for his love of heavy metal and a high press, Torino manager Ivan Jurić has become one of the most talked about managers in Italy since taking over at Hellas Verona in 2019. Then newly promoted, Verona finished 9th in 1920 and then 10th the following season, despite spending less money in the transfer market than 16 other Serie A clubs. This earned him the job at Torino, who had seriously flirted with relegation in both of the last 2 campaigns. And he has done a superb job so far, with Il Toro challenging for a top half finish despite missing captain and talisman Andrea Bellotti for 3 months of the campaign. A tactical disciple of Atalanta boss Gianpiero Gasperini, whom he worked under at 2 different clubs during his playing career, Jurić favours hyper-aggressive man-to-man marking, something that sees his side commit more fouls than anyone else in Italy and led one analyst to describe his football as Satanism. And it has proved devilishly effective. Torino are far from the dirtiest side in Serie A, with 11 teams receiving more yellow cards and 8 receiving more reds, and a sizable portion of their fouls coming in the opposition half. They allow opponents just 7.1 passes per defensive action, making them the 2nd most aggressive pressing side in all of Europe's top 5 leagues, and as a result, they average more possession than rivals Juventus, concede the 2nd fewest shots in the league, and have the 4th best defensive record in Italy. The Croatian coach is going from strength to strength. Expect to see him linked with bigger jobs in the next few years. 3. Vincenzo Italiano. Another rising star in the Italian game, Vincenzo Italiano has become a household name since taking the Fiorentina job last summer, and it's been a steep rise. After beginning his managerial career in the amateur game, he was hired by Trapani in Serie C in 2018 and led them to promotion within 1 season. This garnered him the attention of Spezia in Serie B, and he repeated the trick with the Little Eagles, taking them to the top flight for the first time in their 115-year history in 2020. And after successfully keeping them in Serie A, Fiorentina came calling. And once again, it's been a quick turnaround, with the coach putting a side that last finished 5th in 2016 back in contention for European football, and beating Napoli and Atalanta en route to the Coppa Italia semi-finals, doing so with a completely different brand of football to what they were playing just a year ago. Very much a counter-attacking side in recent seasons, La Viola now record the 2nd highest possession in Italy, play with a high defensive line, and rank ahead of Napoli, Juve and Milan for expected goals per 90. With the strength of Italiano's system meaning that even the sale of Dusan Vlahovic hasn't affected them as badly as some feared. It seems the only way is up for the 44-year-old. 2. Xavi. Generally greeted with enthusiasm by culés, Xavi's return to Barcelona attracted a healthy amount of skepticism from fans and journalists looking in from the outside of the Camp Nou. Despite the excellent work he did at Qatari outfit Al Sadd, the legendary midfielder was returning to a club in financial turmoil and with a seriously unbalanced squad. But he's made it work, bringing in players who have instantly elevated the side's attacking output, reigniting the form of former teammate Sergio Busquets and helping mask the loss of Lionel Messi. He has mixed a possession-heavy front-foot approach with fast direct attacks, helping the Blaugrana to control matches in a meaningful way once again. In 15 games under Xavi so far, they have lost just once and won 2/3 of their games, compared with a poor 33% win rate before his appointment. Considering the club's terrible recent record with marquee signings, Xavi's ability to get all of his to hit the ground running is incredibly promising. And while he will no doubt make mistakes, following such a positive start, club president Joan Laporta is only even more likely to give him the time and support he needs. Right now, he looks like the right man to return Barca to the big time. 1. Gerardo Seoane. Having made young boys even more dominant than they were under Adi Hütter, delivering 3 successive Swiss titles for a side that had won just 1 in the previous 32 years, Gerardo Seoane finally followed his predecessor to Germany in 2021, taking over a Bayer Leverkusen side brimming with young talent. And while his entertaining brand of football isn't miles away from what Peter Bosz offered at the Bayer Arena, he has taken them to a new level. Currently set for a first top 3 finish since 2016, Leverkusen are scoring 2.5 goals a game, the highest average in their Bundesliga history, with Moussa Diaby and Florian Wirtz looking like superstars in his system, and Patrick Schick finally exploding at 26. This has come at the cost of the defence, with only 4 German sides conceding more than Seoane's young back line. With a stronger chasing pack, their bid for Champions League football would probably be a lot tougher. But as entries into the Bundesliga go, Seoane is faring well, and if his side continues to excite, he will only win more fans across the continent. So those were our 10 next superstar managers, but have you got any shouts yourself? Let us know in the comments below and we could do a part 2. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe to EFD if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.